Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Wonder Woman issue number 58. This is the first issue by G. Willow Wilson, and this is actually the first time that I've ever reviewed a G. Willow Wilson book, so I'm actually kind of excited for this. Unfortunately, I have the distinct displeasure of being sick, so I hope that I do a halfway decent job. Okay, this issue is called The Just War, this particular story arc is called The Just War, Part 1. G. Willow Wilson is the writer. Carrie Nord does the pencils. Mick Gray does the inks. Romulo Fayaro Jr. does the colors. The lettering is Pat Brousseau. The cover, Terry and Rachel Dodson. And there's a variant cover by Jenny Frisson. Wonder Woman was created by William Moulton Marston. And once again, H.G. Peters. I don't know why... I don't know why DC's not giving him credit. But anyway, next issue is called Old Enemies, by the way. Okay, so basically, there's something happening behind the scenes where, if you remember in the bunch of the recent Wonder Woman books, Olympus is abandoned by the gods. And then in the most recent stories, with the Witching Hour stories, Olympus is actually overtaken by, for crying out loud, Hecate. All right, she's there, and the Inside Out Man, not the Inside Out Man, excuse me, that's the modern day mythology. The Upside Down Man, you know, all these crazy things are happening over there. So Olympus is ground zero for hell on Earth. Fortunately, it's not actually on Earth. Anyway, so hell on Olympus. Let's do it. Hades on Olympus. Listen, it's messed up. It's jacked up. Nobody wants to go there. So a lot of these creatures are stuck on Earth now, and that's actually really exciting. That's really cool. I'm interested in seeing what's going on there. Wonder Woman, for her part, there's a really, really beautiful scene where we first get introduced to this take on Wonder Woman. Every writer is going to have a new take on Wonder Woman, and there's always that reveal where the new artist is going to reveal their take on Wonder Woman. I absolutely love it. Anyhow, so what happens here is Wonder Woman wakes up and she's talking to Steve Trevor, and of course is the idea they both have very dangerous jobs, and she starts to see a premonition of something bad happening to Steve, that maybe, he's definitely surrounded in blood, that maybe he's actually going to be killed. And then she gets a call from Etta. Etta, you guys can go and check out all of these characters. I'll try and remember to put them in the description. Etta Candy explained in a minute. All these different Wonder Woman characters, including Steve Trevor, explained in a minute. So that you get a good idea of who these characters actually are, because they're old school characters. I'm really happy to see Etta is in this. I figured, of course, Steve has to be in this, but anyway, she gets a call from Etta that, yeah, he's actually been taken captive. He's MIA at least. He's been separated from his team. Now, they go to a place called Dourovia. Now, this is probably the thing that I'm most excited about, is seeing this. And I guess I should have figured, because I have been following G. Willow Wilson on Twitter for a little while now. I have seen a bunch of things that she's written on Twitter from other people who I follow, other writers, mostly writers that I follow, she's commented on. And I like her stance on politics. I know, of course, I don't want politics in my comic books. No, that's not true. And I want you to be honest with yourself for just a half a moment. You don't want the opposing side's politics in the comic books. You're okay with politics that you agree with. Well, so am I. I think that pretty much all of us are. So this comic book may not be for you if you have a problem with this, but this is a very lax approach to the political spectrum. It's literally just, it's in the name. It's in the name. Dourovia. Look, I haven't talked about it in a while, but this is something that I have talked about in the past. My stance has not changed on this. DC Comics has always had a problem in the past. Lately, they've been changing that, and I'm glad to see that G. Willow Wilson is continuing the tradition of change. That DC Comics used to be the place where it's a fictitious America. Okay, Gotham City as opposed to Newark or Trenton, New Jersey. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it was considered Chicago, Central City, which is often considered the Chicago area, Upper Chicago, Metropolis, the whole, New York, Manhattan Island, the whole shebang, all 5 boroughs. Coast City out in California. You know what I'm saying? Like they've got all these different names for what could be our actual Earth, but it's not. It's a very different Earth because it's a very different America. But the rest of the world is the same. So Superman will leave Metropolis and go over and fight some people in Afghanistan. You know what I'm saying? Batman will have to go over to, Saudi Arabia, or Wonder Woman, excuse me, will have to go over to Afghanistan also. Afghanistan seems to be a big issue, right? That's always been a problem that I've had with DC. You've got some fictitious places. They've always had Kandahar and places like that, but they choose to use real names for foreign countries, but let's use different names for American cities. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. Anyway, Marvel has had the exact opposite effect where, oh, this is our America, but it's a different world. So this way nobody has to be insulted, DC's been doing more along that line lately, and I love that they do that. In this particular instance, when they go to Dourovia, I don't know where this place actually is, where it's supposed to be, where it's supposed to reference. It almost looks like it should be Greece because the Olympian ruins in the back, I think they're Hellenistic, but they might be Hellenic. I can't see close enough to see what they are, but either way, gorgeous. It actually looks like it's some kind of a war zone, and we don't have to apply some particular ethnicity to who these people actually are. It's unnecessary, and I love that. So, and also the idea of, there's actually a saying in here which I'd never heard before, which I love. But there's a bunch of sayings in here, a bunch of very small quotable moments in here. This does run the risk of being tropey, but I didn't feel as though there was anything in here was a trope necessarily. This has to be the establishment of not just this version of Wonder Woman, but who G. Willow Wilson is. I don't know if she's ever written for DC Comics before. I honestly don't know if she's written anything beside Miss Marvel before. And again, I've only read the first volume of Miss Marvel. Always meant to read more, but I was working in Saudi Arabia at the time and didn't have access to comic books. So I came back home for a little while to the States, back to Jersey. Wow, volume 1 is in trade, grab it, go back to Saudi, and I read that. I'm like, man, I wish there was more I could grab. But anyway, so yeah, I do have to go back and read some Miss Marvel, damn it. Anyway, this is great. Perfect way to establish the writer. We understand. It's always easy to establish the art because you're going to see it. It's visual, but you have to actually think about the writing. So great way to establish all that. Great way to establish this new version of Wonder Woman. By version, I mean this take. I should say this take on Wonder Woman. And her world, the surrounding world, and where the direction of this comic book is going to go. So definitely digging this. I know there's going to be some people who are going to want to insult whatever because whatever. It's a shame. But at the end of the day, one of the things that this comic book does show, and I don't know if it's inadvertent or not, but it shows that most of the people in the world are conservative. I know, but everybody votes Democrat. Yeah, because a lot of people aren't. But at the same time, a lot of people are the way they are because they're in a foreign land. Hey man, I was all for foreign rights when I was living overseas. You know what I'm saying? All the countries I've lived, that I've actually lived and worked in, I wanted there to be more rights for me. So I was very, very, liberal, in that sense. And I maintain that back home in America or here in Canada. So I maintain that. But there are a lot of people who are very liberal here, but back home they're very conservative. I got that feeling when I was reading this book. I got the understanding of G. Willow Wilson's take on the military. As a former soldier, I would of course be insulted if it was the idea that, oh, the military is very weak, or very more specifically what I usually hear is they're all barbaric. No, the military actually has a whole hell of a lot more rules that we have to follow than, let's say, police. Because police get away with anything. Military, you do something wrong, you get court-martialed. You'll be, absolutely, you know what I'm saying? You're going to wind up getting yourself in a lot of trouble. Police simply don't have those same standards that they have to live up to. But there was something that was mentioned here, and I had it on the tip of my tongue, but I had to finish what I was saying. Darn it! The idea that the strongest military in the world always claims that they have their hands tied. No, I'm not insulted by that at all, because it's true. Because that doesn't have anything to do with the military itself. That has to do with you have to obey, you have to listen, because the soldier who was piloting that aircraft actually gave the perfect response. Yeah, she's got her opinion of us. Here's my opinion of her. A law unto itself is no law at all. Wonder Woman thinks she can just do whatever she wants because she has all the power in the world to do that. We have to work as a team in order to be this powerful. She's powerful all by herself, and she could do whatever she wants. She thinks that she's right, but she's not. She's right for her, you know? And I love that take on this. It sounds like Miss Wilson is putting a really level-headed take on the world. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Because Wonder Woman's take on the military is very similar to my take on the federal government of anywhere you go, almost. Any place I've ever lived, at least in the world. But also businessmen. The idea that, something bad happened in the company, but I'm way too high up on the executive level to actually be responsible for anything that happened. No, it's somebody on the lower level. They did something bad, and I didn't know they were doing this bad. They were renegades. They went rogue, so they should have to go to jail. But nobody on the top ever gets in trouble. Nobody on the top ever has any kind of responsibility to face. They've always got their golden parachutes. They've always got their bailouts. And so, yeah, I agree very enthusiastically with what's being written in this comic book. So yeah, I was waiting for, like, it was made into being a big deal that Miss Wilson was going to be on this comic book. Not as big as Bendis coming to DC, and Bendis being on Superman, and Bendis being on Man of Steel, and Bendis is here, and Bendis is on the toilet now. I don't need to know that much about Bendis, all right? I don't need your double-page splash spreads to tell me what the frick is going on with Bendis, okay? I'm good. I can see it. It's Superman. We all know, all right? Relax. And it's good. It's good. But calm down, peeps. I'm glad that I would be so embarrassed if they did something like that for me. Like, come on, dude. Professor Bill is here. Whoa, dude. I could also go over there. Just stop. All right? Chill. Anyway, this is a solid comic book, and I'm absolutely loving every single thing that I'm seeing in this comic book. I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be upset about whatever, but you can't please anybody. And at the end of the day, seriously, this comic book just might not be for you. And I have the distinct feeling it has a lot to do less with the story itself than who's presenting the story with a lot of people. I just, hey, call me wrong, dude. But at the end of the day, that's what I feel, because I don't think that there's anything in here that needs to be taken as an insult. But it's funny, the same story that you hear from this person as opposed to that person, when this person says it, oh, this person, I'm cool with this person, so this person gives me criticism, it's cool. This person says it, he's insulting me. And it's like, dude, they actually said they both said the exact same words to you, the exact same inflection and everything, but we're going to take things differently. And it's a shame, but this is a really good comic, and I'm enjoying it. The trope that's used in here, and yes, it is a trope, for Ares is being done currently a lot right now. It's happening with Nightwing. It's about to happen with Arthur Curry, Aquaman, when Kelly Sue DeConnick takes over. It seems like it's a bit much, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because it's Ares that this is happening to, so it's a full-fledged bad guy who's going to have a bit of a conundrum because at some point he's going to wake up from his stupor and suddenly realize, crap, I could be a good guy. So, you know what I think would be the coolest part is actually if Ares himself could be, the DC version of Ares could be more like this version of Ares. I think that would actually be really cool. I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of the Marvel version of Ares, but I love the character, because he's very much a character onto his own, and he's not going to answer to anybody unless he agrees with that point of view. But and even if that turns him down a dark reign of terror, quote. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Ares is written in the future in this story arc, and I'm kind of hoping it goes on past a single story arc, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that we're in good hands. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me. Pretty long one, right? Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.